Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, as you can tell by the title, we will be going over this crippling winter storm that is currently occurring across the United States. This thing, as I've mentioned in the past several videos, it is just one giant curveball. It has thrown many areas kind of off guard in terms of heavy snow, has thrown some areas that were expecting heavy snow off guard, as they didn't really receive much snow. So there's a lot of kind of things that I kind of want to go over and see why this system may underperform in certain areas and why it did overperform in other areas, and kind of what's the future of the system. Just the most recent updates I can give to you as of 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on the 16th of January. By the way, this will probably be my last upload about this particular winter storm, because by the time tomorrow evening rolls around when I usually make my video, this thing will be done with. But I do want to say that we've been preparing for this all along. The system's now finally occurring. The snow I could see here is extremely heavy. Those bands of snow, probably very wet, heavy snow, as these temperatures here are marginal for many locations. Further towards the north, and more drier snow, but obviously the heaviest amounts over here may be found across the Great Lakes. And yeah, I'll just show you what the system has done, what it will do, and what to expect from it. And before we get into this, I just want to say that if you have any comments, any questions about the system, any kind of questions about what's to come or what did happen and why it happened or whatnot, place them down below and I will answer most of them. I usually get to most of the comments that are placed, so I do kind of want to encourage that. And if you do end up liking the video at the end, you could subscribe and like it. That does help out a lot. So let's start talking about this. And just right off the bat, I do want to show you the radar loop of this system, because the radar is a good forecasting tool of what may come while this system is already occurring. If you have a thunderstorm that's a mile away from your area, right, and it's coming at you and it's moving towards you, you know that thing's coming, and that's a way more valuable tool than any other models. But models are good for longer range prediction. The radar, I guess it's just the past. It doesn't show us the future, but you can estimate a lot of things from it. Notice that what it did do at around, this is noon today, so this is only goes back to 6 hours. It was snowing across Nashville, much of the south. There was quite a bit of mixing in between the snow here, kind of a transition between back and forth rain and snow, not allowing some of these snowfall amounts to really pile up. Even though the snow was heavy, it was just very wet, had a hard time accumulating. To note that areas in Georgia, Atlanta, right, they did pick up several good hours of that snowfall. In terms of snow amounts, I don't know quite yet. I could show you the snowfall reports, which I will in just a second. Notice Knoxville got in on some snow. Charleston, that's a city where I think it has been honestly underperforming. I don't know exactly how the situation is looking there, but based off the radar, the snow has been sparse, or yeah, rather sparse, and where it did snow, it's almost kind of well, if it didn't snow, right, in those little brief bursts, it was kind of a freezing rain and a mix. It wasn't this consistent banding of snow. It does look like, as of right now, we are starting to get in on some more consequential bands of snow that will be bringing more, accumulating snowfall to you. But the fact that it took so long for this to get going may have cut in on some of the snowfall totals. Notice Knoxville's getting a decent band of snow right now. So Cincinnati, Columbus, it just moved into Cleveland. Pittsburgh's been in this snow since around 2 to 3 in this afternoon. I do want to note that cities like Washington, New York, Philadelphia will start off as snow, and you can see Philadelphia has been seeing snow for a while, but right now, probably by the time I upload this video, it will be already sleet, if not rain, in those cities. But a quick inch to 2 inches could definitely accumulate, if not even more. Do note that the rainy side of this system is very profound. I mean, extremely heavy rain. Notice, look at Norfolk. That is some moderate to heavy rainfall, not really severe. There is a line of pretty nasty storms moving right there, I think, through, they did move through Wilmington earlier. Notice right there, right? And now it's moving through Kitty Hawk at the current time, and I could show you right there, it's about to move in. And yes, those are some very heavy rainfall rates moving in through the Outer Banks. Atlantic City, New York City will get in and out a lot of that rain, and so will Boston, the coastal areas. But inland, this will be a very heavy snow event, and you can see those very heavy snow bandings across Columbus, Ohio, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati, Charleston, what's not. Notice some snow spitting onto the backside, Asheville, right? Maybe even Atlanta picking up a few more hours of snow if this thing allows it to. So again, because of this kind of disorganized snow structure and these marginal temperatures, some of these amounts are just so random and so weird that I don't know if it's a lack of reports or it's just, or the snowfall varied this much. Notice Nashville, there really aren't even any snowfall reports for your city. There's one right there that is half an inch. Just south of that, an inch and a half, so quite a big difference. Just south of the city, 8.8 inches, a pretty good amount. Right there, in central Tennessee, central western Tennessee, kind of 9 inches, quite a big amount. But then notice just over here, 4 inches. 4, 3, so quite a big variance. Notice right there, 3.5, right next to an amount at 9, but that amount was at 9:55 a.m. So I don't know if this is just, again, a lack of snowfall reporting, or is it actually, just this scattered? And it's very hard to tell at this point. Hopefully we have some more rolling in, but yeah, definitely a lot of scattered areas. Notice Huntsville picked up a few inches just northeast of it, I should say. And then, yes, I talked about curveballs. Look at this one. This one was a massive one. Jackson picked up an inch, but there was no way they were expecting 8 inches across these areas. Yesterday, a super heavy band of kind of pivoting snow set up across these areas. This was way further south than anyone thought it would occur, but notice 3.5, 4 inches, a lot of snow is, 4 inches compared to what they were expected, which was nothing, let alone almost up towards a foot in some areas. That is some crippling snow. Definitely not a good thing. And then notice as you push into Atlanta, northeastern Georgia, I should say, not Atlanta itself, even though there were some amounts right there. You'll notice northeastern Georgia, 4, 5, 6, 7 inches, even some 8-inch amounts right there into really more into North Carolina, South Carolina. Greenville got around, 6 inches, I think. Yeah, very heavy amounts over here across the North Carolina area into Greensboro. Good amounts of snow. Again, some of these aren't updated. You can see the list one, 6.3. Was at 1:10 p.m. It is now 6 p.m. I'm assuming some additional snowfall did end up at least falling in that time. Maybe not a huge amount. As you can see, there was kind of a dry slot that moved in. And even Washington, D.C., right? These areas will see rain, but they got 3 inches, so you could see thunderstorms on top of 3 inches of rain. How does that sound? Pretty interesting. Notice Snowshoe, West Virginia got 5 inches, pretty good amount. Right there, 2 inches. But Charleston doesn't really have anything, right? So that may be an area that underperforms. And Kentucky, areas in Kentucky already had 4 or 5 inches in some areas, and that is starting to wrap up as well. But a few more hours, that could mean a decent snowfall event for you. So this is extremely tough to say where it overperforms and underperforms, but the message remains the same, that this thing is one giant curveball. Notice there are still advisories and warnings across some of the areas that the snow even moved out of, but they're saying that that little light snow threat still continues, and of course just the sloppy road conditions. North Carolina right here, it's mainly done for you, but you could see that there's still some light snow. The winter storm warnings are still up. Let's move further towards the north, where the snow is still occurring. Northern Virginia, especially Western Virginia. Let's click on Harrisburg, a decently sized city in Virginia, and you can see the 1 to 3 inches on top of whatever you have right now. I don't know how much they have there, or maybe nothing at all. But yeah, so that may be an underperformer, overperformer, depending on what they were expecting. Charleston, yesterday I was thinking that this could have been an overperforming event for you. At this point, it's tough to tell. You could get a few hours of very heavy snowfall, and that may make up for the low snow losses you've kind of gotten, but I don't know if there is any snow on the ground. If you already have 2 inches, then I wouldn't say you missed out on a whole lot, but based on these snowfall reports, I can't just turn on a webcam and view it, because a lot of the webcams are covered with snow. Can't really get a good perspective on how much there is. Pittsburgh, widespread amounts of 1, 2 inches. That was around 6 o'clock. So I'm assuming probably some areas reaching about 2 inches at this point. And again, this thing is just getting going for you. I would say, though, that there is a risk of Pittsburgh getting into the dry slot. Notice how kind of that same dry slot Charleston got into, Pittsburgh may get in for a while, which may cut down on some of the snowfall amounts. Again, that is kind of speculative, but it definitely is something we have to watch for. Do note that there is, again, a lot of snow for Pennsylvania, and these areas will probably get the brunt of that. Cleveland got in on some of that snow. Again, you're on that tough edge whether or not you get the heaviest versus just lighter amounts. It's still kind of difficult to see how the storm will behave. Expected additional snowfall. Let me go to the best model I think is taking a very good handling of the system, and that is the HER model. This is out to 18 hours, so it doesn't show the full extent, say, into Canada and further portions of the Northeast. But you could see that even for areas like Charleston, if you have no snow on the ground right now, you could still end up with 7, 8 inches according to this model, which I think it does a very good job with this. All right, and if you already have 2 inches, you could expect you're kind of, again, adding those 7 to 9 inches on top of that. Cleveland, it does look like this system shifted in your favor. I mean, look at that gradient. I would say almost a foot into the western areas, sorry, eastern areas, maybe less than that across the western areas. Erie, you could get an absolute just walloped by this, whipped. 24 inches, potentially 23 right there. Notice nothing significant yet or additional amounts for the southeast, but Kentucky could still pick up quite a bit. The mountains in North Carolina could still pick up a good almost 6 inches. And then, of course, Pittsburgh, you can see right there, maybe, again, very close to that, those very high amounts, but depending on whether or not that dry slots and how it behaves, kind of cuts in on those snowfall amounts. So I'm not going to really show you many models because at this point it's more of a scenario or a situation where we have to look at the current situation and kind of make predictions based off of that. But I will show you the short range models. You're notice that they do show a lot of ice into Ohio. You're right there. You can see the Her model. Honestly, guys, I don't think the ice will be that prevalent. If anything, it will just be really probably breaks in the precipitation like we see going on right there that cut into the snowfall amounts. Not really the ice. That may be a thing further across south where that rain snow line is. But, I mean, these areas, you're going to end up seeing rain regardless, so that doesn't really make that much of a deal in terms of the snow cutting, if you will. Do note that, Charleston, right, they do get in on that snowfall, even if they're missing out on it right now, and they are seeing snow as I'm speaking. Whether or not it kind of continues. Do note that this thing does shove. I mean, look at all of that precipitation. Very, very well developed system overall. Into tomorrow mornings. I mean, today, I guess 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, wee hours. Very, very heavy rain across the coastal areas. Do note that it's snowing across much of Massachusetts, upstate New York. This area of freezing or sleet, I think, is overdone, but it is something to watch for. Notice that's what I'm talking about. Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh could get in on a bit of that dry slot right there. So that could provide a few hours of snow stoppage for you. That could cut into snowfall amounts or not. It depends whether or not you're kind of on the eastern or western side of that. I do think there will be one, though, especially given the fact how this system is looking on radar. And then as I just put this forward, my mouse is extremely jumpy, so I can't do this evenly. But notice, as I push this forward, it shows a lot of snow into Maine, right, into the northeast. The rain starts wrapping up around tomorrow in the afternoon. I don't know if I said rain or snow, but it's going to be mainly snow for Maine. The coastal areas obviously seeing rain. And notice Toronto, right? You're going to be picking up quite a bit of snow out of this, but by tomorrow in the afternoon, it's still snowing. Could be wrapping up, though, by then. Do note, cities like Montreal, Ottawa, Quebec, further up the line, it's tough to tell whether or not you could get maybe a bit of kind of lulls of precipitation cutting on the snowfall amounts. Overall, though, I would say stay prepared for a very significant system. This thing's going to have also strong winds, especially at the older and more mature it gets. And let's take a look at those snowfall amounts for you guys so you could kind of look at that one more time. Again, this may not be 100% right, this model, as these models tend to not be that accurate, to be honest with you. But, I mean, they are accurate. Otherwise, I wouldn't be showing you it. But to the point of where each individual city has the correct snowfall forecast based off this model is just foolish to say. Notice Toronto, right? I mean, you could get almost a foot of snow in terms of inches, in terms of centimeters. You got to do that conversion, as I'm just too poor at that conversion to be reliable. Quebec, you could see picking up just a little bit at this given time. Obviously, the storm isn't done at tomorrow in the afternoon for you, so that's just through tomorrow at around 3 p.m. Notice the further cities along the St. Lawrence River, though, those are pretty decent amounts as well. And I do want to say that I could show you a different model called the RAP. It's a very good model. I could actually show you the full extension of this one out to 51 hours and see the differences. The big ones are, it is a bit more bullish with snow across the upstate New York area right here into Pennsylvania. I think that is definitely plausible. Notice shows quite a bit into Cleveland, shows quite a bit into Charleston, into Pittsburgh, and a bit less for the coastal areas maybe. As the herd kind of showed a lot of heavy snow just north of those coastal areas, which again we'll have to wait and see if it's more of a coastal snowmaker or not. At this point, I would say it did overperform in some locations. I think Washington, D.C. did get a bit more than anticipated in some spots. And I noticed that the heaviest snow band starts getting north of, say, Quebec or Montreal. Though it could, again, if it's a bit further towards the east, it could clip you with some of that heavier snow. At this point, it doesn't really make that much of a difference whether you get 9 inches or, 13. It's a big event either way. And obviously, once you start getting towards 20 inches, that is a difference. But it's not notable one at this point. So that's that. I do want to also show you quickly the total accumulated rainfall, right? I know that a lot of the areas already did get rain across the south. I'm sure you got quite a bit of that. Notice North Carolina, right, at the Outer Banks area, you got quite a bit of that rain, and you're still going to. I mean, at this given time, it's starting to wrap up. It's really just the northeastern corner, but I do want to show you that. Where is this? There we go. That's further up, New York, right, Massachusetts, Boston, the DC area. You probably saw already a lot of snow right now as I'm recording this video, or whatever's falling in your city. You're still gonna pick up a lot of more precipitation. I'm just gonna call it precip because it may fall in the form of sleet, like it is currently, according to the radar, or freezing rain, and what's not. I do also want to, guys, say something that sometimes these systems, you know, as I mentioned, they overperform, they throw curveballs, they underperform. The thing is with this, interesting, guys, look, it has this little system right here, this little kind of wraparound thing. This may bring snow into potentially Greensboro, Raleigh, if this thing stays together. And this thing actually looks as if it's holding itself together pretty well. And if it gets itself wrapped into the system, it may produce a decent swath of like 1 to 2 inches across some of these areas, or it just might dissipate. I'm just saying that there's like these very small things you have to watch for. Notice there's a very disturbed area, kind of disrupted area of snow, I should say, that is pushing towards Charleston. Whether or not, you know, that's going to consolidate into a heavier snow band or area for Charleston is a bit difficult to say. You can see some areas are seeing no snow, other areas are seeing a lot of snow, and that's because of the direct thunderstorm pretty much to snow formation of the system. It's not like widespread banding of snow. It's like this very, very kind of, you're seeing either very heavy rain or not, and that's because of how potent the system is with its warm side. It's a bit more sheared out. That's what they like to say. So again, you can see Pittsburgh about to get in on some very, very, very heavy snow bands from the south. That may be a continuation through much of the evening. And again, if you just get stuck in one of these, especially the ones that are going east or north to kind of south, you could see a lot more snow than forecasted, so it's definitely something to watch for. All right, overall, this thing looks pretty cool, though. You gotta admit, like that warm sector, that rain, that snow, and yeah, I think it's definitely a decent system. And notice that South Carolina's even seeing some snow right now, right? Just into Winnsboro, Rock Hill, Charlotte may get some rain into North Carolina, Spartanburg. I don't know exactly how crippling the ice storm was for those areas. I'm assuming that it was pretty significant, but the ice storm warnings are up now, and they don't, you know, that doesn't report ice amounts on that website I showed you. But let's take a look at some of these special weather statements. I'm kind of curious as to what they're issued for. If you are from this area, you could tell me how much the rain or how much ice did fall. Was it more or less than expected? How are the conditions? Because it's kind of hard to tell exactly just based off this information. They're just saying that temperatures okay, likely to become icy. So they're just basically saying that the conditions are still going to be very treacherous. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see exactly, you know, the full report of the snow and what goes on with this, whether or not this was a overproducer, underproducer, and what's not. It's snowing in some of these areas right now based off the radar, so that might be a bit of a shock to some areas that weren't expecting it, I guess. This one, you can see right there, shows a bit of rain. But again, this radar may be also kind of deceiving. You saw I clicked on some of those areas and it showed rain, even though the radar shows snow. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that's basically it, guys. This thing is just at this point, just hunker down. You know, this shouldn't be a destructive, massive event if you've prepared decently. And again, the snowfall amounts are, while they are heavy and it is a crippling storm for some, it should be relatively tame in that sense that it's not something that I guess will be remembered, hopefully in a negative way. But again, hopefully I don't jinx it with this system, as you know, some of those amounts that fell near Jackson are just absolutely insane. I want to say, for those folks that are watching this still and they're like, okay, what if my area is ever gonna, or like if my area didn't get rain or snow with this event, I want to see what's in the future, in the long range. And I do want to show you one model, the GFS. There's actually a pretty good chance of another similar nor'easter occurring next weekend. But there are some key differences with this one and the one that we have right now. So let me show you precipitation type and rate, and show you what the GFS model is showing. So there's our system, right? We are going through now Wednesday, Thursday. I'm just going to speed through this. I'm not talking about this. This is a little system you have to watch for that may be about to bring some snow into the Mid-Atlantic area by Thursday. We do have yet another clipper, and that kind of brings snow towards the North Dakota area. But really where we do have to start watching is this cold air mixing with this snowstorm or with this rain mass to the south. And notice, this could mean snow potentially for Dallas, right? Dallas. You know, last year you saw a lot of snow. This year, I mean, that would be a powerful storm for you. Louisiana, Mississippi, or Arkansas, this is a snowstorm to watch. Notice Atlanta, you're pretty much all seeing snow at this side. And look at what this system does, combining with a bitter clipper from the north or bitter cold air mass brought by kind of a little clipper. You see snow much of North Carolina, Virginia, Delaware, New Jersey, coastal cities this time picking up a lot of snow potential. And again, this has been in the model data for quite a bit now, this system. It's nothing that this model just started showing out of nowhere. So we'll have to wait and see. And look, the GFS shows yet another system in a long range. And just for your information, these amounts from this system would be pretty high. It's hard to tell you exactly how much because these amounts are overlapped with the system that's currently occurring. But just watch areas like in Georgia, because this system would impact that more. Look at that. I mean, that would be a massive event for those folks. Even cities like Dallas could get walloped by this. So we'll have to keep our eyes tuned because this pattern does not look quiet. And look, the GFS over the long range shows over 40 inches across some of these areas in the Northeast. Oh my God. All right, stay tuned, guys, and I'll catch you all in the next episode. Stay safe and stay warm, of course, as well. See ya. Bye.